Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to join my colleagues in expressing strongest reservations on what we should be doing. Mr. Speaker, when we amended these standing orders, it was in the interest of all people who we represent with. We don't represent ourselves, Mr. Speaker. And this habit of cabinet secretaries not appearing when required, we used to see it in committees, but it looks like we have been lax enough that they are now taking plenary for granted, Mr. Speaker. Because I think if we were aware that Cabinet Secretary of Roads, Treasury, and Gender was not appearing, Mr. Speaker, sir, then there would be no need of scheduling them on the order paper. We would be even doing motions or bills or other statements, Mr. Speaker. So it is very unfortunate that today in the morning, Mr. Speaker, we woke up very early. And you know, yesterday I heard through rumors, Mr. Speaker, that CSS would not be appearing. I wish in the past or in future, as my brothers have suggested and sisters, colleagues, that they should communicate to us, Mr. Speaker, because you can see I'm the heaviest casualty, Mr. Speaker, because 3/4 of questions that were to be asked was through you, was truly, and the people of Nandi were glued to their TV stations, Mr. Speaker, knowing that we'll get real answers today on the status of roads, Mr. Speaker. The nation was glued that today we'll know the status of Kenya Airways and financial operations and other operations, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, many people from Kericho County would have known at the renovation and expansion of Karenga Strip in Kericho, Mr. Speaker. So I find it out of place, Mr. Speaker. I remember during Kibaki era, President Kibaki era, when President Kibaki used to know that you are supposed to appear before Parliament, he would prefer that you appear before Parliament before going to any other state functions, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, and we have agreed at the floor of this House before that two important functions of a cabinet secretary or executive is one is a cabinet meeting, and number two is appearing before Parliament. Mr. Speaker, this is a calculated evasion of not appearing before this House, Mr. Speaker. So I request, Mr. Speaker, in future, I don't know what Senate Business Committee where you chair, you need to provide guidance, Mr. Speaker. And I agree with what senators have said. Any minister who does not appear when required by this House, Mr. Speaker, should be fined heavily. And I'm happy that the Powers and Privileges Bill passed yesterday. One question goes with 5 million, Mr. Speaker, and they pay from their own source, Mr. Speaker. So looking at my questions, the CS should have paid around 20 million, which I know some of the CSS don't have problem with, because nowadays they have a lot of cash running around, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, second and finally is on the issue of gender. I find it expressed reservations. And, Mr. Speaker, I want to agree with, although he has left, my colleague, is it deputy or minority leader, said, Mr. Speaker, that these CSS are busy answering us in matangas, in baby showers, in bridal showers, and birthday parties, Mr. Speaker, but they cannot come and answer. For me, I have always been answered in funerals, Mr. Speaker, which I find it out of place and obnoxious, Mr. Speaker. But when I give the CS of Roads a chance to come and answer these questions on behalf of the great people of Kenya and Nandi, they don't find it convenient. But if they hear this weekend there is a function, a social function of any nature, they will hire a chopper and fly and come and answer before the people, Mr. Speaker. So we should stop taking Kenyans for fools, Mr. Speaker. We cannot operate this way, Mr. Speaker. In fact, my advice to the CSS, they should reduce even going to social gatherings and use this premium platform, Mr. Speaker, where it is organized, you answer, you clarify, you table evidence. Instead of waiting for functions to happen during weekend, Mr. Speaker, or Arambes to come and give out money and bombozle Kenyans, calaventing, perambulating, which does not help in any way, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on the CS of gender, I am one believer that CSI Ischa Jumwa is doing extremely well. But today I'm disappointed, Mr. Speaker, because when you were debating NADCO and you are the one who guided us, and I saw some people were trying to blame you yesterday, they don't know how wise you are. I beg to forgive them on your behalf, because they are trying to blame you on the issue of NADCO, Mr. Speaker. When the NADCO report was being presented, we were told there was a tactical, calculated move by the gender ministry that they were doing somewhere mysteriously to address the issue of a third gender rule. Mr. Speaker, I woke up on behalf of all women, girls, and many others, Mr. Speaker, to come and listen to this strategy that is being employed by gender to address a third gender rule, Mr. Speaker. And you can see the number of women senators in the Senate today is quite high, Mr. Speaker, because we really wanted to find out how do we resolve this thing that has been elusive since 1994 on achieving the third gender rule. But I want to assure the women leaders, women senators, and women of this country, there is hope because the president himself believes in a third gender rule, Mr. Speaker. So even if the Speaker, and I want to agree with my colleagues, let the CS appear in the next 30 minutes, we can suspend the House, ensure wherever she is, because I'm aware, Mr. Speaker, there is no cabinet meeting today. So I am assured that there is no any other urgent thing that they can, Mr. Speaker. So why don't you suspend the House, order the CS to appear within 30 minutes, and also to come with a fine, Mr. Speaker, to ensure the senators are comfortable, so that when they are answering questions, Mr. Speaker, please, going into the future, let SBC guide us or become innovative. We are not guiding the ABC, you are the one guiding. Let us become innovative, Mr. Speaker. And I want to advise colleagues, the issues of the plenary and the Senate remains here. When you want to make your comments in the press conferences and funerals and other things, please reserve it there. But don't discuss the conduct and functionality of the Speaker of the Senate. Other lower house will defend their own Speaker. Us will defend ours. So if you have a problem, please discuss it with your wife in your bedroom at night, but don't bring it out in the public. Mr. Speaker, I express strong reservations against non-appearances of CSS. I thank you.
Senator Eddy.